All right, we are recording. So welcome everybody. I'm Tony, in charge of development with the NABLL. Rod is here. We'll formally introduce him a little later. Just want to kind of introduce our goals for tonight. This is our second coaching series. We had a small number the first time, so I figured we kind of still introduce like what our vision here in year two with the NABLL. So we're going to introduce the development team, which is myself, what the player team connection program is going to look like for 2023. Introduce these forums. Really, I think this will probably start getting hopping once we get in the summer and people are more in box mode. And then obviously the coaching series program, well, Rod will be one of our wonderful guests here, and you'll learn more about him a little later. Get some thoughts from him, get some chalk talk. You'll get to see some stuff that I developed, some that Neil Powlis developed, who was our presenter in February. Take some questions and answers. And if we have time, if you want to watch a little video, we can break down Man Cup. Rod's got a vested interest in looking at this Man Cup being in it last year. Or I guess technically this year, right?
Yeah.
No, last year. So like I said, I'm Tony, but this is year one. We were really trying to just develop the grassroots of how NABLL was going to work. And so we really put into getting our bylaws and all the rules and regulations and getting all the nuts and bolts together. Year two, now that we kind of have that together, doing a little fine tuning. You'll see the fine tuning at the end, but really, this is kind of one of my babies. I really wanted to introduce the coaching aspect of it. I think we did a pretty good job of taking care of the GMs year one, but we really want to take care of the coaches this year, and then also want to take care of the players. And so you'll learn a little bit about that in the upcoming slides. I'm not really going to go over this, reviewing 7-box. This is just very basic knowledge, but this is just put on there as a resource for later if somebody wants to look through those links. So the player team connection program, one of the things we really want to do is we want to increase engagement with the players as well as, the coaches. We really want to improve communication. We want to bank on over communicating if we can. And so felt like we did a decent job in year one. Now that, like I said, now that we kind of got the nuts and bolts, we can continue to add layers to this. We also want to kind of start building a network where people can start connecting with each other, where it's not just one program going to NABLL and then we relay the message to another program. Is once you guys get comfortable, like, if Thousand Islands wants to talk to Seattle Kings, then, we want to make that access so that's easy for you guys to do that and build that relationships, right? At the end of the day, we want to play hard, but we also want to have fun doing it. Obviously, we want to bring awareness to box lacrosse from the coaching perspective and from the players' perspective. One of the things we're working on with the players, we haven't kicked it off yet because we're just waiting for all the teams to kind of get settled in and their players to start coming on board, is we want to introduce some meetings just for players where we might invite some guys that are playing with us, but also playing the NLL or play at, high levels like in the Man Cup and stuff like that, and get their perspectives and how what their road was like to get to the NLL or to Man Cup or stuff like that. And just creating a dialogue for those guys so that they are aware of what's going on. And then there's some other things, league-wide community. And so that's kind of our vision for year two. And I'm kind of leading the charge on the teams and the players. We just added a forum. It's, like I said, it's in its infancy. There's not much on it right now, but we hope that as the players start, I think this would be more of a players thing where there's 14 different topics where you can kind of go in and, talk about the various things. There's an NLL one there. There's, if you're looking for an NABLL game, there's a forum for there where you can put in your request, and then hopefully this will start to get more active as the season progresses. So I'm going to kind of jump in. There's a couple of drills that we did. We'll make sure you have access to this afterwards. The famous Iroquois drill. Well, this, I don't know if it's a famous Iroquois drill, but this is one that I grew up playing a lot. It's literally, you start with 3 offensive players. So you got your lefty forward and your righty forward with the 2 defenders. And then you have one guy simulating like he's coming down the floor. He gets to pick his side. And in this illustration, I'll just say the forward is coming down and he's going to play the right side. So you play a 2-man game on that one side. The lefty forward and the lefty defender are not in right now. They're just kind of support. So they play 2-on-2. You work your picking and repicking, and you work whatever you're interested in working on your 2-man game. You give it a quick shot. If they're unsuccessful, they kick it over to the lefty forward, and then it's just a simple 1-on-1. Try to get a shot real quickly. It's one that you could easily add in numbers to it. But it definitely works on your picking, reversing the floor. You can do up picks, down picks. You can do it in the middle. So there's a lot of variations for that. Six Nations drill. This is the one I really have. It's more like famous. You could find this one online really easily, and I don't know, for some reason they've kind of taken it off. But it's basically an up and down drill where you got 2 blue lines and 2 red lines, and the flow will start in D and transition to O and then out. So it's a real quick simulation where you're working on 2-on-1s, and then you continue build up. You can build up 3-on-2s, 4-on-3s, really trying to work on head manning the ball, reversing the floor quickly, and seeing how your recognition is on both offense and defense. Really don't want to go into that one too much depth because it's something you can look at. And these are the ones that we're on in February. So these are the ones that Neil went over, and they were pretty good. I mean, he did a good job explaining them. I tried to do the best I could and watching the video and putting it together. So this is a 21 transition drill where you never increase the numbers. And when you do it, you basically on for four not rotations, 4 times you're up and back. And so it's a good drill to work on conditioning as well as transition and moving the ball really quickly. So it works. It starts with 1 defender in the blue. The 2 reds come down to play on a 2-on-1. Once they start coming down, it's like any drill, the beginning it doesn't work normally. The flow of it's always a little different. But once those 2 red guys go in, there's going to be a second blue chaser. And the goal of that is to keep the offense flowing really quick so they don't really have time to simulate the full pace of a game when you have transition. So they'll play the 2-on-2. Once there's a shot or turnover, the 2 blue guys that are in defense now go on offense. There's a red defender that's sitting back. He's already put in position. And then one of those 2 offensive red guys on the top, one will stay and one will go off. So then they'll go play the 2-on-1 with blue going down on the bottom, blue versus the red. And then that was one of them is the chaser, right? So then they'll go back again. That chaser will go back and play offense again while the other blue stays. Oh, no, I mean the other 2 blues go up and a new red stays. And it goes back and forth. If you read that, you'll probably get a better idea of that. He did some shooting progression drills where he was just kind of showing crossing the floor. And even though, Rod, I haven't officially introduced you yet, if you want to chime in on anything, feel free.
Sure.
So, but what Neil did on this one was top right, the ball starts, and you just pass it across the lefty forward up at the top. He'll kick it down to the low wing. where he'll go and do pretty much a V cut into a pick, and then the guy will come off of that pick into a shot. So that's phase one. And then phase two is you do the same exact thing. It's on the bottom of the screen. He comes off that pick, but instead of taking the shot this time, he's going to kick it back up to the righty that started to play for a step down shot. Really working on trying to reverse the floor quickly. And Neil was a big believer, and he thinks those step down shots, when they're crossed after a pick, he says he feels like they're very successful. So that was phase two. And then phase three is basically you do the same exact thing. The guy comes off, he passes it to the guy for the step down. Instead of taking the step down, the guy that originally set the pick, he just kind of opens up, and then he gets a dunk right there in front of the goal. So those are 3 different variations for some shooting drills. He also did the same. He introduced some more shooting drills where instead of having the one ball, he had, in this case, the righties both had a ball, and he did the same exact movements. But then once they came off, both of them got fed. Obviously, you don't probably want to have a goalie in at this one. This is just working on your shooting. But he had it basically the guy that comes off high, off of the offense will get a pass from the low guy, and the guy that's down low will get a pass from the guy up top. And so there's some variations here. In the bottom part of it, he's basically showing the same thing, but working on up pick. So all the other ones are down picks, and then he introduces an up pick on that level 2 part. This one was pretty interesting. I've never seen this one. But I know Rod, I told this one to Rod, and he does some variation of this. So I'll kind of introduce this, and then Rod, you don't mind putting in telling your variation, right?
Sure.
So the way this one is, you need at least 15 guys, and you put them in 5-man units, and they're in obviously the 3 different units: Unit A, Unit B, and Unit C. And so Unit B starts with the ball. In this case, Unit B will go play offense against Unit C. They'll play an offensive set. And then once there's a shot or turnover, Unit C will carry it up the floor and go against Unit A, who now is a defender. Unit B takes the Unit C spot. They play it. And then as soon as there's some turnover, Unit A, who's on defense, now goes down and plays offense on Unit B. And one of the things Neil mentioned in this was like his goal was to do this 10 minutes with these 15 guys. And he said, even with guys that were really conditioned, he made it to about 8 minutes, and their tongues are hanging out because, you would think this would be a slow drill, but if there's a quick turnover or a shot goes off the boards, it's going really quickly. So you don't get the rest as much as you think. Rod, you said you had kind of like a variation off of this one, right?
Yeah, so I'll just add some things to this type of drill. So now, obviously, in box, we play the OD system, but it's always good to run a drill like this to allow guys to be able to play on the opposite end. So if I'm an offensive player and I have to go back, I don't want to be a liability. So I got to work a little bit on my defense, even though it's not a main thing that I'll be focusing on. And same with the tranny guy going up. They got to be able to play some offense and be effective out there. You can have extra players on your team just on the side, excuse me, and they can sub in anytime. If one team scores, we stop the play and they get the ball at center and they go the other direction. So you get rewarded for scoring. So just a competition. The guys like it. I play live clear too. So even though maybe the goalie stopped the ball, the team that's going from defense to offense, they have to clear the ball to that first line, and then it stops and they're able to go against the other team. So I think a lot of coaches do 5-on-5 and they just stop when the ball goes in the corner, but basically they should play it right till they clear the line. So that's sort of a good habit to get used to.
Yeah, there's some good habits with that. I agree with that. The other one he did was just like a quick read one. This is kind of like a transition drill. He was mentioning how this one was really focused on defense substituting, coming off the box, and being able to find their offensive players really quickly. So in the middle of the floor, you have all your offense kind of sitting there. The coach will throw the ball against the sideboards where 5 offensive guys will break out. Imagine one guy will go after the ball, the other 4 will go to their positions. While that's happening, he has 2 defenders on the floor just so that they can't get to the cage immediately. So the 2 defenders jump out, and then the 3 are coming off the box. So kind of simulating the substitution where they're not all just sitting there waiting in perfect defensive position. Neil said he really likes this one because it really defense got to really pick up quickly where the offensive players are going to and trying to stop like the highest threats.
Yeah.
And he said he likes to push the pace on it in the first couple minutes of it so that defenders have to make the quick reads, and then after a while then they may slow it down and play a little 5-on-5, like try a quick hit, and if it's not there, do a 5-on-5.
If I could add to it, Tony, I run this drill too, except I actually put the offensive players in the bench farther away than the defenders. So that gives the defenders an advantage getting on the floor. And once I rip the ball against the wall, I just start counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I also change it up. I might go 4-on-3. I might go 6-on-5. I might go 5-on-5. And so that they're thinking off the bench, only 3 guys are going out. They have to get to the house and find some inventory. So makes them think as they're moving along. For defenders, get into position first before you pressure. And for offensive guys, running those lanes, because we want to try to get a fast break look or a trailer look before we have to go to 5-on-5.
Great stuff. The other thing that Neil introduced was clearing, just kind of a skeleton clear, and he was just kind of going over showing how he would break out. So he likes to break 2 guys wide. 1 guy goes against the away from the box. This is probably a little different than you, Rod, because your boxes are generally on the opposite side on it, right? Most of the games you guys play.
Actually, it was only Peterborough's one of the only places that has it. We're all
really?
on the same side, so there's a lot of commotion because you're always running into players on both teams coming through. So you got to really be focused coming out of the gate.
Yeah. So like generally, one of the things we like to do is we want to clear away from the box to stay away from all that action, right? So he was basically showing how you get it up on that far left, the righty. Can you guys see my cursor when I move like that? Can you see a cursor on the screen or no?
No.
Okay. All right. All right. Well, you got the 2 defenders on each side of the goal, and then you got the guy breaking out on the left side, top left on your screen. He's breaking out. The other 2 are going to the box, and they're going to come out, and they're going to get to the bottom corners. I know I'm a big believer of getting down to the bottom corners, and that's kind of like the button to start the offense, if I can, because that makes the defense come all the way down and sag in. So if you want to get some shots from outside, you've already pulled the defenders down. And then what Neil likes to do is the 3rd guy in, he comes down and he picks one of those 2 low guys, and then the 4th guy usually comes in and picks another guy, and then by the time the 5th comes in, they're already into the flow of the offense. I don't know if that's kind of similar to what you like to do, Rod, or it depends on what you're running, I guess.
Yeah, this is real good. What I do is I do a skeleton just like this. So there's 5 defenders that start. I run a pretty simple clear. I go far wall, like you said. That's our option 1. And basically, I tell players you either get up the floor, get off the floor, no hesitation. So I don't have too many guys playing close to the goalie. The only thing I'll do is I'll run the guy that's close to the box, the lowest guy. He'll run towards the box, and if the ball isn't thrown to that far side, he'll cut towards the middle and catch the ball right in the middle and start the fast break. I like the running lanes for the offensive players. We have to drive these defenders back. If you watch the NLL, the defenders are coming out and they're jumping at center because they're not extending the floor enough. So that's a good example. And then I let the offense run the ball, and then they have to rotate back because they're just as responsible for getting off as the defensive guys are to get up the floor. So we prevent the far wall pass, and the other players get off as quickly as they can in order for the defenders to get set up.
That was great. All right, now we're on to right. Now we're on to some of Rod's drills.
Yeah, this is my grade 2 writing capabilities. Okay, I got to preface something here. This Thousand Islands, that's my favorite dressing. Is that a team?
Yeah, that's one of our new teams this year.
That's my favorite team. I'll tell you that right now. All right. All right, guys. So I got a basketball background, so I run a lot of these drills, and this is the same thing. So basically, it's a 2-on-1 continuous or 3-on-2 continuous. So if you start with the 2 circles, they're going down towards the X. You have players that are close to the middle and players are down by your goal. So every time a defender pops out and every time you have a chaser, I make the goalies throw every pass. So in other words, they have a ball in their hand, a bunch of balls in their net, because we got to get the goalies starting the fast break. So if they don't have to make it, doesn't, if you played it, the ball goes in the corner, you kill the drill. So the goalies make every pass, and it's pretty fluid that way. I always try to make 2 players having balls during your practice because people are going to drop passes. So we always try to fill the pass if somebody drops it to keep the flow and momentum of the drill going. So yeah, so it goes as soon as you get the ball cross center, the chaser goes from center, touches the middle circle, and then goes behind. Like Tony said, it puts a little pressure on the offensive guys to attack. And then you go the other way, and then we move that into a 3-on-2. And players like it. It's competitive, and they have to make good decisions. Philosophy is the best kind of thing on a 2-on-1 or 3-on-2 is get somebody across the net for a shot. That's the best scenario. For defenders, we like to get our sticks in the air, make the shots come to the sides. We don't want to give anybody an open shot in front of the net. So definitely offensive players have an advantage here. It's a fun conditioner, but we only go once. So once you play defense, you play offense, and then you jog back to your sides, and you go from there. And if I could say one other thing, which I've kind of changed over the years, is I really try to put small numbers in whatever drills I do in different lines, because you've seen with the young kids, if you have 12 people in a line, they get 1 turn every 6 minutes. It really loses momentum. If these guys have to recover and get going every minute or whatever, they're following exactly what a shift would be like in a pro league or indoor league. Yeah.
So what do you do with if you have large numbers? Do you have them doing push-ups or
no? Well, you got if it's large numbers, I would run a 2-on-1 just for a quick run. Then I'd get to the 3-on-2 because that's 5 at a time, right?
Yeah,
five. And like I said, the goalies, it's a free clear, but it's really good that they can hit, because if you have a goalie that can start a fast break, your team is money.
So here's your 43. I gave it a name, 43 breakout.
Yeah. So this is I think this is probably one of the best drills I've ever run in the pro league or whatever, right? So let's start with the 4 X's in the middle. Those are offensive players, okay? And they're going to go down, and there's 4 circles in front of them. So I'll stand in the corner and I'll throw the ball to whatever X, the outside guy, middle guy, or whatever. The defender in front has to go touch the center line. So in other words, his player gets to run right by him. So it's automatic 4-on-3. Got it? So wherever I throw it, they go. If I throw it to an outside guy, they should actually invert to the middle, and the guy beside him should go to the outside, because it's better to attack the defenders with the ball in the middle. If I throw it to one of the 2 middle guys, they just go straight ahead and look to dish the ball. What I tell defenders to do, instead of just sit back and let them come in and make 3 beautiful passes of the shot, I like them to rotate and take some chances, try to hit some bodies, because it makes the offensive players have to really execute well at a fast level. So they get the shot away. The 4 defenders, they take off in fast break. The goalie throws the ball to one of the defenders, and they take off, headman the ball. And then there's a coach down the other end. All 4 defenders get a breakaway. They just stagger it, no problem. We had 4 offensive players, and I got circles around. What I would do is we would have defenders on both walls, and they would go run across 2 defenders, and they would play the two X's 2-on-2. on ball. Then it would go the other side, run the defenders across, and they'd play the other two offensive players 2-on-2. Then I'd be in the corner and I'd throw a third ball out for a 4-on-4. The drill stops. The defenders that ran this 2-on-2 defense and the 4-on-4 defense, they move up to the line and they get the transition. And the ones that ran the fast break, they go into those spots where you have to play 2-on-2 defense and then 4-on-4 defense. I like to run players across the floor because usually in box, the right-handers check the lefties and the lefties check the righties. So I'll put all the lefties on one side and have them run over it to be able to find their right-handed check, or if they can. Now, in the pro league, sometimes it doesn't matter what side you go to. You can play defense on both sides, but it's a good conditioner too. The defenders get a bit of a break because once that first group does the 4-on-3 defense, they're taken off. They got a good run down the floor. The other goalie gets shots. The offensive players get to run a 2-man game, and a 4-on-4, and then you just restart. So it's called a 4-on-3 attack, a breakout, a 2-on-2, both sides, and a 4-on-4. And yeah, if you got 18 guys in that, it's pretty good.
So I just want to clarify. So I got the 4-on-3 coming down, and then so you're saying after that shot, all 4 defenders now just go down on just the 4 take a shot on a goalie on the opposite side.
Yeah,
right?
they take off the other way, and you can run it like you're going to run like your breakout. So you'll have that far wall guy first, and if he catches and he's the front guy, he'll run the net. If one of the other guys is ahead of him, he'll headman the ball. And then you have a coach just feeding all of them so they get rewarded for running hard.
Okay, so now they get through that, and so
they're done,
right? They're done.
Yeah, they're done.
Now you're going over to the left side where those O guys are, right?
So now the 4 offensive guys stay and play because they only ran one way, right?
Yeah.
So it will be, let's just say, the 2 lefties first, and there'll be 2 defenders will come across and check them. And then the opposite, the 2 righties, and then it'll check the righties. And then we'll play all 8 of them, 4 of them, and 4 of them, and then go from there. So if I'm an offensive player, I get the 4-on-3, I get a 2-on-2, and I get a 4-on-4 every time. And then you rotate. The offensive guys are all standing kind of in the middle against the walls. A new 4 come out, and it's a pretty good drill. Everyone's moving. There's no rest for the weary.
How long will you say that would take? About 2 minutes to go through that whole rotation, or less than that?
No, probably less than that. Yeah, probably less than that. But like I said, you could do a lot of refining and coaching because there's a lot of things you could talk about in terms of fast break, in terms of defending when you're sort of a man down and they're coming at you, and then just your basic rules for playing 2-on-2 defense and some things you can do on offense. I should mention, when I talk about offense real quick, the game's changed. You used to have to set picks on the side. Now we set them behind. So it's unbelievable. If you watch the NLL or the leagues that we play in, you can actually go up behind somebody and throttle them. And it's almost like interference and get away with it. And I kind of like that because I used to be an offensive player, and these big defenders would beat the pulp out of you. And then if you just tap them, you get called for an interference call. So my whole philosophy in picking now, and whether it's the ball carrier or the person setting the pick, is put yourself in a position where I can find your defender's back, and that you're going to have a lot of success. Because if I'm a defender and I can see the pick coming, I can switch, I can fight through it. So it's the responsibility for the person receiving the pick, and it's the responsibility for the person making the pick to find the back.
And that's a great tip, and that is so true right now. I mean, people are just hitting them left and right, and that's one of the things we talked with exactly what you said with Neil on February was like, when you're an offensive guy, I don't know if you have your offensive guys come down, but I know I was trained. Once I came in, I was to go down and basically smash a defender and then pull to the corner, right? Get to my spot. But I would always go to the middle, let the defender know I was there, and I know I've been trying to teach that with the Golden Bears, and a lot of those guys are really hesitant because they think they're going to get they're going to get retaliated on the other end. And I'll basically tell them, you're going to get retaliated on the other end either way. So you need to be as physical as an offensive player as you are a defensive player. And our guys aren't just there yet, but I have a feeling watching some of your Langley teams that you guys have similar philosophy.
Yeah, that's a great point, Tony. I have players in the pro league that play for me, professionals, and they take the outside route. But I watched Peterborough and Six Nations play in the final, and every single time they came on the floor, they tried to run somebody over, just like you said. It was amazing. It was like, holy smokes, these guys are dusting up for a brawl, and it was physical.
So here we have another. I call it the build-up transition drill based off of what you.
Yeah, this here is actually a game. It's a full game, so it's pretty cool. You need 8. You can use 18 guys, so that's 5-on-4 on both ends. Okay, so I stand in the middle there where the squiggly lines are, and I got some balls. Okay, and I can throw it to anyone on the floor. So the X's are going towards the drill 3, the side, and the O's are going the opposite way. So say I throw it to the X in the offensive end, they got 10 seconds to get a shot away. So I'll actually count it down: 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, all the way down. If they get a shot, the defense or the goal, they still have to clear the ball, and their X's are down the other, their O's are down the other way. So the 4 O's have got to get the ball to the 5 O's on the opposite side. So it's a continuous 5-on-4. I used to make it 10 seconds, but because the rules have changed, they only get 8 seconds to clear the ball. So if the offense wants to get the ball back, they got to get in the corner and reload, because if they get a shot, they get a new 10 seconds. So it's a pretty intense game. The players don't stand in a box like a short man. They run out and they pressure and they take some chances. When it gets to like 5, 6, 7, sometimes you just got to throw the ball down the floor and hope for the best. So it's a game you played about 4 or 5, and you have to make great decisions. If someone struggles, you'll see it, because they'll be throwing balls all over the arena. The more calm and collective players can think in very quick periods of time, and they can clear the ball and they can get great shots. So it's basically the 4 defender X's and the 5 defender, 5 X's on offense going one way. It's the 4 defenders. If they step into that squiggly area, it's a fault or whatever, and I take the ball again and I start and pass the ball to the non-offending team. I don't just throw it to an offensive player. I might just throw it to a defensive player, so it automatically has to clear. So a lot of communication. It's a continuous drill. Everybody's involved. You got 18 going at one time.
So let me ask you a question, because I've done field for a long time, and one of the things I see in transition drills is a lot of times the offensive players just kind of want to stay in their space. Yeah. Do you kind of encourage your guys to kind of cut through down picking, or are you just trying to find a 2-on-1 with spacing?
No, we try to be creative, because these defenders, like I said, they're pretty athletic. So you're going to have to do some different things than just walking in. They're not going to stay in a box so you can run it like a power play. They're going to come and gamble and put pressure. So you need to set some quick picks, but at the same time understand that you have to get a shot away. It's really good too for defenders, because some of my defenders, they'll pick up the ball with 2 seconds left on the shot clock, and then they'll get throttled. So you'll learn to let the ball stay on the ground till it runs out of time. Offensive players will learn to have to shoot a little bit quicker in order to get it within the 10 seconds. And my big thing where I have a lot of difficulties as a coach is I get my defenders up the floor really good, and they're responsible, but my offensive players always take a long time to get off. I don't know what it is, and it's probably cost me a man cup before. So this way, these offensive players, they got to press, they got to try getting the ball back, because they want to win the game. So if they stand around and let these 4 defenders clear it, their defenders will be all over them saying, get some pressure on these guys. What are you doing? You got an extra player, right? So again, it teaches the defenders that their shift isn't over until they actually get the ball to an offensive player. And it teaches the offensive players that your defensive shift isn't over until they're able to clear it. So the players, they like I run this with my teams, and some of the NLL guys that haven't played for me, they really like this drill, and the goalies like it. It's just basically, and you can run it 6-on-5 too, and you need a few more players there, but it becomes pretty competitive.
Well, I was just looking at it, like you can even kind of reinforce some of your powers that you're doing, even if not the full setup of your power, but maybe like the start of it, or just trying to get some motion. And I always love playing fast, so this is right up my alley.
Yeah, you know what? It's it's a reality now. You have to clear the ball so quickly. The game used to be a lot slower, but now it's there's no hesitation, and for offensive players, you got to get into your offense a little bit sooner. So it's a good habit.
All right. And speaking of power, we got a couple of power options here.
Yeah, so I try to give a play for all the positions: the crease guys, the shooter, and the point. Okay, so the first one that says power play: shooter, cutter, crease, seal. It's a pretty good play simply because of the angle of the pass. So the first pass will go to, say, the left shooter, and the right shooter will cut like he wants a pass cutting down the middle. He'll scream for it, ball, whatever. He cuts right to the middle, but he's just a decoy, and he's going to seal for the crease on the ball side. And as he seals, the person with the ball, the shooter, he throws it back to the top man, because that keeps the defense in the offside respectable. And then the top man just hits that crease guy coming around from the shooter pick. So it's just a crease seal from a shooter.
What do you have your righty shooter do? Does he just curl behind the net and come back around?
Yeah, he'll come back, but the play's really quick. So he has to make a good solid pick, because when we throw it back to the top guy, that is a real safe pass, because sometimes you throw passes when guys cut the middle and they get crushed. This one's a safe pass, and all the person that catches the ball he has to look one way. If that defender that's on the opposite crease slides them, he dumps it to the right-handed crease. It's like a quick 2-on-1 there.
Yeah, I got you.
Because a lot of times crease guys don't get any action. And I should say now, the old days, the crease guys would stand right on the crease and take a beating. Now they step out, they move up. It's really tough to check them. So I'll talk a little bit about short man and how we do that a little bit later. The scissor one here, I used to run it with Colin Doyle. I was fortunate enough to coach Colin Doyle, one of the best box players ever. And really simple. I would throw it to the ball, the person that's going to get the play. So one, throw it to the, I guess that's the right shooter. And all I do, as the ball's in the air, the crease man seals up top. The top man goes down and seals below. And the person with the ball just slides in between there. We call it a scissor or a gap. And he's got a good lane there, because we got a hard pick coming down and a hard pick coming up. And it's really hard for the defenders to get around. So it's just a one pass, and you slip in a side door, and that's for the shooters. And again, they got great vision, because they can look opposite side to the crease man if someone comes.
Yeah, if that guy come down the middle, drags one of the defenders, right, then you got a 2-on-1 with the lefties. So
yeah. This for the middle guy, we do a lot of this. So if I'm the point of the power play, I can throw the ball. So I'm right-handed. I'll throw it to the lefty, and I'll go set some hard picks for the tops, the other right-handed shooter. Sometimes he'll come around and get the ball. But a lot of times what they're doing now is I'll even head towards the guy that I'm going to set a pick on, and then I'll just flip the middle. So what happens is they're ready to jump you a little bit, and the guy that's got the ball, he just throws it in the crease, and the middle guy's wide open down the middle. So a lot of teams get that middle guy to be kind of rubbery, and we used to do it where you had to make a great pick. Now if a defender's too strong, I'll let him go, and I'll go down the middle. If he's jumping over top, I'll go down the middle. So you can really just kind of dictate how the defense plays to what route you're going to take, but just the middle guy gets to slip the middle. Nothing fancy, but it's pretty good. The behind the net play here, Peterborough ran this, and I've been watching some field lacrosse, and I would never have said don't run a power play from behind the net. I'm seeing a lot more of it, especially in the NLL, because you can dunk the ball from behind the net so easily. But anyways, with behind the net, it all you're doing is say the left shooter hits a righty behind the net, the righty comes around towards it, and the crease guy comes across the front and tries to blow out that defender that's standing there, and then the shooter just slides underneath for a quick little dump underneath. So I know Peterborough had a lot of success with us, so I've actually added that into my repertoire. So these are just quick hitters. I mean, any power play, you should get a really good shot just by moving the ball, moving your feet a little bit, and going from there.
Yeah, I think the key you just said is moving your feet. A lot of times people just think because you got an extra guy, you just stay in your space and just shift a couple feet, but it's that action. And I think one of the biggest things different from field and in box is that setting those picks on the defenders to get what you want. That's not
definitely.
In the US, they really don't do that. It's just a lot more spacing, and it's rolling out. It's rolling out and reversing the ball. Like when I did a lot of my man ups in field, that's basically what one of my players said. He's like, it's always a reverse of the ball and a rotation. That's basically what it is. And I was like, you're right. That's exactly what it is.
For sure. So 6-on-5, it's kind of tricky. So theoretically, the old thing is you'd set up like a power play and put a guy in the middle. I started using like 3 lefties and 3 righties on the outside, and I've had some success there. Basically, if so say I run a play to a player like a Dane Dobie, but the defense might lock him off. So all bets are off because your play that you're running is he's being sheltered. But so generally the 6 offensive players have to understand that they might just have to improvise. They got an extra player that might have to make 2 or 3 good passes and get a shot. All right. The swinging gate there, all it is the left-hander, which is A. He'll throw it to his own side in the corner. And the second he throws it into his own corner there, which I think it's C, the 2 right-handed players, they seal the top guy and the middle guy. And then the right-hander peels back and he hits that swing guy coming around the gate, we call it. And usually because you throw the ball to that corner, the defense shifts. So it's a really easy pick. So even though A is going to get a shot and he's usually a lefty on the wrong side, he'll get a great shot. And if he doesn't get it, he'll have a crease man open on the opposite side. So that's just called a swinging gate. The middle one has been used in NLL for years. It's just called middle out. And again, let's just say that's a lefty in the middle. The point guy throws the ball to the right shooter and seals the middle. And then there's a lefty that seals the top guy, and the guy in the middle, we call it middle out. He goes out, catches the ball, and gets a good look from the top because we got everything sealed there. Then I just added a little tweak to it because the defenders are starting to jump out on this middle out. So we're faking the middle out. And what happens there is instead of the point guy throwing it to the shooter, he throws it all the way to the corner. And then we have the shooter that was making the pass on the original one. He goes and picks the opposite crease. The crease man picks the middle man, and the guy that pops out the top, the other shooter just slides right in the middle and decoys. So it's a fake pop the top or middle out, and we got a guy right coming underneath. So the defenders will jump up top, and we're actually slipping the guy underneath. So
you're talking about the right diagram, right?
The far diagram. So yeah. So if you look in the middle one, it says the play is you just throw it to the right hand shooter, and he waits until that middle guy comes out. And he throws it to him for a shot.
Yeah.
This time he's not going to throw to the right hand shooter because he's going across to pick the opposite crease. The crease there that's in the left hand crease, he's going to go pick the middle man, and then this guy that's up top is just going to slide underneath. So the guy that's in the middle is going to come out, give me the ball, but he's not going to get it. We're faking the middle out pass and using another guy as a decoy.
I got it now.
Yeah, pretty simple and pretty successful. I could talk a little bit about D if you want, about how I defend certain things.
Yeah, that would be great.
Okay, so offensive coaches and that they're pretty strong at making all these plays and these last second things. So what happens there is, they'll tell their players, okay, do not start your 6-on-5 until there's 10 seconds left, right? And I started getting in a habit and going like, I'm not going to wait for the offense to do that because they don't have a goalie. So I'm going to go chase these guys down in about 13, 14 seconds. And number one, it disrupts their play. Number two, it makes you very nervous because your coach told you not to throw the ball or get things started until 10 seconds so they don't score the empty net. And I can't tell you how many empty net goals I get because we just go for it. We just fire out. Everybody fires and rotates. And it really disrupts any kind of special play. And we are initiating the defense instead of a lot of teams will just sit back and let them run their play and hopefully the ball doesn't go in. So we actually come out and attack on defense. So that's the thing. And another thing we do on defense is we'll take their best player and we will start off in a 5-man dice, and then as soon as it gets down to 10 seconds, we'll lock him off and just make them do a 5-on-4 power play. And I've even done one other thing, which has been kind of creative, is we'll pick one player that we're not going to lock off. And with about 8 seconds, we'll fly at all the players that we're going to lock off, and hopefully they don't hit that guy that's not locked off. It's probably usually one of their weaker players.
No, that's a great one. That's a great little wrinkle there.
Yeah. The only other thing now, because most teams play a box defense, so we used to have all our defenders with their sticks in the middle, okay? And now we switched that for the crease. Our sticks on the crease are on the outside, simply because there's the offensive crease guys are starting to step out. So if I have my stick on the outside, I have a better chance of intercepting the pass or getting my stick in the shooting lane. The top two guys, we keep the same thing. Your sticks are in this inside because you can move inside and out with your stick easier. So not all teams do that, but I'm a big believer in it. So the bottom crease guys are on. So if I'm a right-hander, I'm on the right crease. If I'm a left-hander, I'm on the left crease. So my stick's sticking to the outside. And lastly, sorry, I'll just say one other thing.
Okay.
Lastly is when the ball's passed from the top to the shooter, we have our ball side crease man. He has to step across and block the far side post. So that means our goalie knows every time that he only has to protect the short side post, because the defender gets across and is in the shooting lane of where it's very difficult for a shooter to hit the far side. And I can't tell you how many players we hit in the Man Cup from Peterborough because they simply stood in our shooting lane. They were very courageous and they took a lot of hard balls, but man, was ineffective.
Wow. Could you talk about a little bit, like, as offensive guys are coming down and your defenders are coming out, like what their roles are originally, and then some of your rules that you use on defense?
Yeah. So when we grew up playing both ends of the floor, the coaches say, okay, when you come on the floor, get to the house. So we'd all run to the house. We'd all run to the dotted line in front of our goalie, and then we would fan out and pick up our checks, right? It's changed a little bit now because of the fact, again, teams have to get over center so quickly. So sometimes you can run some defenders forward so that you can trap these offensive players that are coming over center. And sometimes, you can. I've had all 5 defenders jump at center the odd time. So we're getting away a little bit from just running back to your dotted circle, because if you do that, it's an absolute free clear every time for the offense because they got that big gap because you're standing too close to your net. So some strategies are we actually let their transition guy run down the far wall, like the breakout, and then we trap a guy from the top and the bottom, and we are able to get turnovers because the offensive guys aren't coming on very, very quickly. You'll be able to tell what period it is we call it fanning up. Some periods are better to fan up than others because the offensive guys are getting out of the gate a little bit quicker. But again, we don't want to give any free clears because of this. I mean, there used to be a rule that you could take 25 seconds to get over center. It didn't matter. But now there's a shot clock or a time clock. So you got to take advantage of that defensively. And it's usually your more athletic guys you can send up towards center and have your bigger, stronger guys kind of anchor the crease areas. That makes sense?
Yep, that's perfect. Perfect. So I kind of did this backwards. I was supposed to introduce you before those slides, but I just want to show you guys some of the things that are in here. We put together some kind of almost like box across sheets that you could print out to draw your plays like how Rod did. If I would have thought this through, I would have told Rod you should have filled them out on this, but those are
not a problem. I could tidy them up for you, Tony.
No, that's good. It was good to hear you talk through them because you brought the X's and O's alive, so it was perfect. So these are just some of the resources that you guys have access to. Just some different variations. This one's turned over, so you can get a little bit bigger field. So this was supposed to go in the front, right? So you heard me talk about Neil, who was in February, and he was working with the Binghamton Bombers in the PBLA before they stopped this season, and he played with the Utica Yeti this past season in the NABLL. Obviously, Rod here, with the Langley Thunder, and we're still trying to figure out who we want for June. So if you guys have anybody you want to hear from, let me know, and I can see if I can twist their arms to join us. Here's some of Rod's highlights, but if you were listening, you can tell that he obviously has a lot of experience. He has his philosophy. He knows what he likes. He knows how to get to the things he wants to do, right? But he's currently with the Langley Thunder, who just played in the Man Cup against Peterborough. It was a tough. Went right down to Game 7, right?
Yes, it did. Yeah, unfortunately, another loss to these, but that's all right.
Yeah. So he's done some NLL work with the Colorado Mammoth and Vancouver and Calgary as an assistant. He's actually an assistant coach on Team Mexico, who's going to be in Utica next summer in the World Games. And he's done a bunch of Minto Man Cups, and he's been a Coach of the Year and a Merit Award winner. So he's done it all. So we're really appreciative that he came on tonight to kind of share his wisdom.
And if I could say, Tony, I want to thank you for having me and selecting me to help you with Team Mexico. It's a great fraternity. I was a high school teacher, and I got a basketball background. I think that helps me a little bit. A lot of my picking stuff and and my sort of philosophies with basketball are similar. It's been a great run, and meeting a lot of people and coaching some of the best players to play the game. And I'm getting old now because I think there's 9 NLL head coaches that I've either coached or played against. So I guess I'm the old fossil around now.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. So this was one of the slides that was supposed to be in the front end of those presentations, but I don't know if you would take, even though you kind of touched on some of these, like some of the biggest differences between field and box, because I know you had a little bit of field experience in there as well, so you've seen both ends.
Well, we're really coming together. Theoretically in the past, a lot of Canadians went down there because they were good with their sticks, because we're so used to playing in close. So they go to the U.S. As attack players. And the U.S. athletes were so athletic that they would make our Canadian attack players even more athletic because they had to deal with faster, quicker, stronger people. So it's been fairly reciprocal. And I believe that more and more Americans are getting better with their sticks, and I'm anticipating they're going to be able to play box lacrosse at a very high level simply by getting the experience and reps and the things that you guys are doing in terms of getting your leagues and that going, and go from there. I think it's like riding a bike. Once you got that sort of feeling about being able to play in space, it's a great feeling. I love both games. I'm way more familiar than indoor, but I've watched a lot of field, and I like some of the things that they do, and different philosophies, how they set things up, and it's quite a different game. But I think it's good to know about both sports, and obviously I know field lacrosse is massive in the States, and continues to grow, and it's pretty strong up here too. So I think they're really working together here.
Would you briefly explain like the mindset needed for a box lacrosse player?
Yeah, I was thinking about that question earlier, Tony. I think the sports have changed. Like if you look at the NBA, we got 7-footers shooting 3-pointers. The NHL, everybody's fast. You have a couple of stronger guys, but they got to be able to skate. Same with box lacrosse, right? You could be big and strong, but you got to move now. It's a speed game. I don't know if that's sort of a European thing that they wanted to do, but it's a very fast game. The only difference is, you know what? It's an intense game, and you have to have emotional intelligence because you are going to get hit and you're going to give out hits. So if you find yourself psychologically surprised or caught off guard, and you lose your focus in that, it's going to cost your team. In the old days, you could get upset and have a fight or whatever, but nowadays you even blink and the ball's going the other direction. So I always try to tell my players to initiate. Sometimes you're going to react, but try to initiate. And we use a saying called "What's next?" So we try to put something that maybe wasn't good, a bad call or a bad hit, behind us and move on to the next thing, so that we don't get caught up because it's always changing, continuous. And sometimes I've complained for about 5 minutes about a call, and then by that time the game's over because I spent so much time talking about it or thinking about that. So as an athlete, you're going to have some ups and downs, but you got to be able to dust it off quickly and move forward, or you're going to have trouble playing this fast sport.
Yeah, I actually was at a field lacrosse game this weekend, and I was mentioning box lacrosse, and somebody was like, "That's just a crazy sport." I mean, I wouldn't want to do that. I would get hurt instantly. And I was trying to explain to them that you are basically padded up from your hips all the way to your head if you're wearing the proper equipment. And so you're getting hit, but once you get used to absorbing those hits, the pads take care of a lot of it. And if the angles are right, it's safer than you think. Would you agree with that?
100%. And they've changed the rules a little bit, just like for the quarterbacks for the NFL, right? They're protecting them pretty good, even though they're still getting injured. It wasn't like the old days where those defensive linemen would try to decapitate them or something. In this case, there's some good physical play, but I think the best thing about lacrosse now is the sticks. In the old days, having a wood stick would be basically a weapon, and a very good weapon to keep your offensive player out there. Nowadays, these sticks aren't as effective. You have to use your body. So you're almost like playing basketball defense on the lacrosse floor. But you're right. If your head's down, you're going to get rocked.
You already shared some of your favorite drills. You shared some concepts. One player concept that often gets overlooked with less experienced coaches. I know you shared some stuff, but if somebody was like less experienced, what would be like the first thing you'd like, all right, you got to master this first? What would be like?
Yeah. So again, I think I mentioned a little bit earlier, I try to make my drills as close to game drills as possible. I don't do much conditioning anymore. My drills will be part of conditioning. So if I was a young coach, you know, you're going to teach players how to throw and catch and pick up loose balls. Do exactly that, but do it kind of like when you pick up a loose ball, you have to throw it out of your end or run it out of your end, because that simulates not only the technique, but a part of the game, right? So that would be my thing. Try to integrate your whatever skill or drill or that kind of where a kid can relate. Well, you see what you did there? That's exactly what you want to do in the game. So that's something I think coaches probably need to do, because you know, a lot of times it's just like, oh my God, let's teach these kids to pick up and go. And I understand that's a huge part. You can't teach strategies or anything until these guys can actually function. But if you can do part of that initial, excuse me, transition where you're actually teaching the drill that you and showing how, I think the kids like it too, or the players, because it's not just another drill. It's not just killing time. Wow, I understand what you mean about transferring this to the game.
That's a great answer. One of the things that I mentioned in February to Neil was that I came across something Wayne Gretzky did, and I was fascinated by it. So what Wayne Gretzky used to do was he would watch the games he played in, and when he watched the games, he had he basically drew where the puck was the whole game. He just followed the path of the puck for a whole game. And he just said you know, he could tell the patterns that were happening on the floor. And so that's why he was so good at being an assist person as well as a scorer, because he knew where the puck was going to be the most on the floor. And so he made sure to get himself in positions where the puck was going to be. I tried to do that. I said this in February. I said I tried to do it with one lacrosse game. It was so hard to do it. So imagine how fast the puck goes in the NHL.
Great thought though, Tony. I think that's excellent.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Dying here.
Does anybody have any questions for Rod? I thought he presented a lot of great information here.
Hopefully they're not all asleep here. Excuse me.
You put them to sleep, huh?
Yeah, I must have. The little sleeper hold.
All right. Well, I mean, we were pretty thorough. I'm not sure if you guys want to watch a little bit of the Man Cup and just, you know, Rod was on one of the sides. If you want to kind of see, he can kind of talk through a little if you're interested, or if you want to call it a night, because we're a little over an hour.
Later. I should mention, guys, I'm kind of like the Marv Levy of lacrosse. I've lost 4 Canadian championships. So, I mean, I guess the good news I've got there, but I just can't beat one of these Eastern teams. This last September, we got to 9-9 game 7. I stood on the table and I screamed to the team, if you told me we'd be 9-9 at game 7, I'd be all over it. Let's get it done. And then we got outscored 4-0 and lost another Man Cup. So anyways, that's my nickname, the Marv Levy of lacrosse. But it's a great sport, man. It really is.
But you are in the Man Cup. There's a lot of teams that didn't make it there. So you guys interested in watching a little Man Cup for a couple of minutes, or you guys want to call it a night?
They're looking tired.
All right, we're not hearing from them, so I think that tells us.
I'm always looking tired.
Yeah,
had a long day. We can watch some. I've watched it.
I'm gonna be voting for you, Thousand Island.
Thanks. Yeah, I'm the closest to Canada, so
nice.
I have to be. Right? I can't
yeah, I think you are. Yeah, you're right there.
I'm at the St. Lawrence River, right?
Nice. See if I can send some guys over your way.
Yeah, I could use a couple more.
He got hurt last night, or Wednesday night, I guess, in game 5, and he is not available tonight, so he'll miss his second game. And coming back in is Eric Schul, so the Lakers will go with one fewer forward. They'll have 7. Meanwhile, Langley, who had been...
Well, I'm going to put it lower.
Goby with first possession.
Jump in there, say anything, Rod.
Goby and Dixon.
Yeah.
Dobie with 32
What's that?
points. Dixon with
This is
31.
game
They
6.
have been
Yeah,
Yeah,
this-
game
brilliant.
6.
And here's
Yeah,
Pierre cutting right through and scoring.
This was a good game for us. I mean, a 9-4 score, and usually when Peterborough's up a game on somebody to end it, they close it out. So that might be one of the most rewarding games I've ever been a part of.
You watch, they take it down deep, and he just comes over top.
I was fortunate enough to have some of the best
Left
players in
field
the
all by
world.
himself. So that's not something the Lakers
But that
wanna
guy
do,
that
but
just
it's
scored the
exactly
goal,
what Langley
Dylan
wants to
Kinnear,
do.
plays
Gets
for
them to get the
Colorado.
Peter
He's
Maven
just
looking
such a
for freestyle,
workhorse,
but
and
Kinnear
you know,
dunks that one
it's
in.
great to have pure
That makes
offensive
it
players,
1-0
but it's also good to
Langley.
have
Huge
these
for them to
guys
get
that
the
do
start.
all the dirty work
But
for you to
the thing
get
with these
real
Lakers,
good
they built momentum over the last 3
opportunities.
games that they've won, and you don't want to let them get it early because they're such good finishers. Here's an outlet to Evans, turns and rips. Almost a beautiful goal. It's a great pass from Mitch. Was that Ogilvy or Matisse that threw that up?
So this is quite different for us because we're not used to being on opposite benches and opposite sides of the floor, and it really helped us because in the West we had trouble. We are not the greatest coming out of our gate, but luckily we were able to do this. So this wasn't an issue the whole series. It was great.
They put Schul back in, have one more defender.
And Matisse is so versatile. He'll take the
Yeah,
ball. Take it
opposite
right up the
benches is
play out there.
different for sure.
He's staying up for this, Chip. Bring Eric Schul in. The Lakers
It's
defensive depth.
Yeah, like I
Feels
said,
it's
no
been a
no
big
one would
difference
say
in
no.
this series.
It's great.
We've got
Like
2 games where the
I
Lakers
could
have
say I'm
only
a good
allowed 5
coach,
goals.
but when you got guys like Dane
that
Dobie
is
and
a
Curtis
lot of
Dixon
their
playing
D
for you, they make
doing
you
a
look
great
good.
job
But
as the game is
you know,
going.
there's
The
some
series has gone
challenges
on.
because these guys all come from different
Passes across
teams
to
and they're all
Vinarelli.
their leaders.
Backdoor
So
attempt,
to keep
but
everybody
Matisse stepped
happy and in a
crease.
groove
Then he and
isn't
Keller
always the
They had a
easiest
Schul
thing to do.
collision.
You know, we want
Well, it looks like
my
Keller
goal
is
is just
doing
to
pretty nice.
let's try to get the best out
I
of
think,
all you. You all have
as
great
good as
things
the
to
defense
offer,
has
but
been, Vince
sometimes
has
with
really
ego and
stepped
that,
up and
it's not that
made
easy.
Great saves when needed.
We've talked about how he makes so many of them look easy. They're not. There's a bunch of shots. I know that Langley feels like
Their
they've had a bunch of
defense
shots
was
on
massive. These
most
guys are
goalies
all
are going
NFL
in.
defenders,
And Matt Vince makes
and
it
they're
look like a very
aggressive,
simple save.
and they've always been
That's-
that like
the Lakers
that. The
fans
Eastern
wanna hold
defenders,
this.
Well,
and
The
they
back
really
of
punish
Gilroy's
the
jersey.
offensive
he
players. They
absolutely
really
did.
do.
You know, his back was to the glass, and there's no
And
way
they
the
like
referee
to
would have been able to see that, but
press
you're
out
absolutely
too
right.
on
Oh,
the
for sure.
when you're clearing right away. It's kind of similar philosophy.
And it was the fans right behind
Our
him.
defense played really
There's a
well,
rip
but
by
we were
Tony
really
Lowe.
young. I had
Tony with
like
16 goals for
two
the Lakers.
juniors
Nobody else has more than
playing
8. Here's Salama.
and 2 rookies playing. So
Off the leg of Vince.
we
That's a big save. The ball
yeah,
is loose, and look
our
at the effort
defense
by
played really
Alex
well.
Pace, but Salama will get in
And
get
Mr.
it.
Vink, who I didn't
Boy,
even think was
Salama's
going to
been
play this
probably as
series,
good
has
as
beat me in
anybody in
2-man
this
cups.
series.
He's a world-class
Very
goalie.
strong. Like again,
World-class
I
goalie.
don't have a lot of information on Salama. I mean, I know where he plays and what he's done, but just
Oh, yeah, he's pretty good.
Strong, great with the ball.
Salama plays in Calgary, but he plays a little bit for me. He plays in the PLL, so a lot of our
And the rebound is right there with him.
players, or quite a few,
Paul
not
Dawson
a
having
lot,
his birthday
are
today,
playing
so
PLL now. So they made a
went for
rule
ride
that they
there,
can't
tried to
play
get in the way
in
of that change.
both
And it
box
was 5
and
black
that
jerseys
league.
coming
So
out in quick
we were
succession.
able to use a
Not
couple
Not
guys
much of a
at
gap
the
to
end
get
of the
through.
season.
That pass doesn't connect from Evans.
Oh, they
There's
were allowed to
and
come and play.
we will
Yes,
at the end.
yes.
again, we're 3 minutes
I
into
think
the first
Peter
period
Roll
here.
had
Game
that
6.
great
Thanks for being with
face-up
us.
guy Withers
Very
and one of the
exciting
Greer boys,
atmosphere.
but they
Again, a
couldn't make
sellout
it.
tonight.
So we
Don't
were
go
lucky
to
that they
September.
chose
Shot
not
by
to make it.
Robinson and
Oh,
Vince.
that's
But didn't somebody
Oh,
come
he
on
got
like
through.
those two
That
guys?
on the
Like,
goal line.
that
Yeah,
goal
we
just
had
stopped dead on the goal
we
line.
had
And as a
Salama,
goalie,
and
you
we were
have
supposed
to
to get
stand
Trey
there
Leclerc,
sharp
but
because you
for
don't
some
want
reason
to
my
lose.
ownership
Vince didn't
decided
know that
not to
was
bring him
behind.
in, which
Had
was
a
a
little help
bit
from, I think it was
disappointing.
Thornbert that grabbed that. Evans starts to swim to the net.
So this is I don't know.
On him. They come across
This
to
Peterborough
Tony,
is a
little
great
pick from
building to
Tate.
play in.
Tate
These
rolls
fans
through. The
and
pass is a bit
community
too
are
wide for him.
passionate about their
Oh,
lacrosse.
Hazen grabs it. They've got 9 on the shot
It's a
clock.
tough place to win, man. I think they've won 10-man cups.
Shake and bake and get a hold
I
of
don't think
Tony.
they've ever
He'll
lost
have
at
to
home.
rip it. And Tate might just get the rebound. He taps it over to Holden for Tony. And Lakers
So yeah,
get
the
fresh
East
start.
has a huge
Tate did
advantage.
So many of those plays.
The
Tate's
last
been a
time
real
the
vacuum out there. As far
West
as
has
loose ball
won
goes, he's
a
on
man
everything
cup
he's
was
around.
Working really hard. He also has 6
1986
goals and 5
in the
assists
East,
for 11 points
1986,
in that. He's
and we
going
were a
for
period
rebound.
away.
Here's Holden. Tony has a shot. He was falling as he did it. It was it's going to come back to him. He pitchforks it out, and there's
So
Mitch
that's
Ogilvy.
that's the
racing
beauty
in.
of box
That's
scouts.
play
You get a
by
lot
Evans.
of extra
Yet
possessions,
another
right? This
30.
is
Those are
Peterborough
the small
third
battles,
possession
right?
here.
Yeah, no, they're
Langley's
getting
doing a
getting
it
good
out.
job.
the Lakers are
Yeah,
working hard to get there. That's
we
another
looked like we
reset.
had pitchforks trying to pick up the ball. We couldn't pick it up. So, yeah, you know what?
They'll go to Matisse, who
Teams
rips
now,
one, and that is a bullet.
we
into the
try to
far
get,
top corner.
like that shot there,
I don't know how much
we
the
try to
sound of
get
this
in the
building
shooting
comes
lane, but
across.
you don't always
It's
get there.
loud in here.
And, you know, getting in the
Well,
shooting
great
lane
rip by
allows
Matisse, but to
a
set it up,
chance
I mean, it was
that
Colton
maybe the
Tony
ball
that dug
hits
that
you or
ball
maybe
out
the guy
and
won't
got them to
shoot you. But
reset.
If you don't
Then they
take
go
the
to an
shooting
East-West
lane,
game. They're
you
gonna
got
swing it
problems
across, and
because
he's got
it's
a little
wide.
bit of
Look at
room there
that
as the
shot. He's
defense
got
sits
lots
off
of
of him,
room.
but he's got a good shot.
So, anyways,
Just caught
So that lefty
Frankie
defender
sitting
should
back
have
a little
came
bit.
down to cover the
yeah,
It
we
is
got.
bottom
Siliano's
part of the
style to
pipe
go down. He's a
You,
big
in a
guy
perfect
on net, but
in
scenario.
a,
Lakers have
yeah,
been going
in the
top.
old days, we'd say, "Oh, we got to
Going
make a
high
hit." We actually
quite
don't
a
have
bit,
to make a
trying
hit.
to
We
take
just got to
advantage
get
of
in
that.
that lane that makes it difficult to hit that side of the net
Here's
that way.
Matisse once again with the ball as we approach 5 minutes of the first period.
So these are two different styles of defense.
Here's Kate
Mine
Cooney to the net.
was kind of a
Looks like he
smaller, quicker
missed.
one, and theirs were a rock 'em, sock 'em, banging one. So
His shot
I
is
tried to get
stopped,
my
but
offense to move their
he had
feet
for a moment
because
the rebound,
let's
but
tire
the
them out a little
Langley
bit. It
players
worked for a
all
while
over
there.
him, and Cal Slade will come over center. Dixon calls for it.
steps out and asks them to slow it down a little bit. They've got
If
a power
I
play.
had my
Frankie's out.
choice,
Delayed penalty coming to the
I would
Lakers.
have,
Probably a too many men.
say,
I think
3
so.
offensive
Ton of
players,
those in this
3 good
series.
defensive players,
Tightly packed
and the
like
rest
they are.
transition guys that could run
Backdoor
all
attempt,
over the place.
and
You know, and
Greer
I
got
think
the shot on. Vince
that's.
with the save.
I remember having
Bryce Sweeting
my
having a chat with him.
camp in Colorado. I had 90 people there. I had some guys from
I
the
think by
Colorado
Austin
football
Pace
team and
coming
everything.
over,
These
I think
guys were
that is very good,
huge,
the call that
and they
Dixon missed.
flew down the floor.
So
And I
went
said,
and
"Wow,
checked
if
with
these
the
guys could
officials
play
about
lacrosse,
the rule. So there
this
is
would
no
be a
in-home.
dream come true."
That's why
Because
we've been confused. I thought
yeah, you know,
it was like usual having the
athleticism
in-home,
can
but
athleticism
one of the
speed
PC
kills
refs
in
was
any
saying,
sport,
we
right?
still have in the
Yeah.
WLA, but they've changed it
So there was a
in
little
MSL.
6-on-5
And
right there.
for the Lacrosse Canada
Flag
Yep.
Championship, there is
Now
no
you're getting
in-home.
one of
So
your
the Lakers
powers.
Yeah,
are
this is Curtis
just gonna pick
Dixon.
who they
He's
wanna
a
put out
they
there.
call him Superman. He's a really good player. And
I
of course,
actually
Dane
thought it was
Dobie,
Tony 'cause I thought
he
they wanted him
looks
coming
like
out.
he's
If
a
that
bus
happens,
driver.
then great.
He's
The lefty
probably the
coming out
best
as they're going down to that end
best
of the
player in
floor.
the world in
So we'll put
traffic I've
Hazen in for this
ever
one, and
witnessed.
And Church for Robinson will rip it. It's picked off by Matt Gilray. It's a 2-on-2. Here comes Slade. Nice
Yeah, I don't know what
awareness
these
by
Eastern
Gilray.
kids
Slade is
eat
all
or
over
whatever.
him.
They're
Callies
long,
kinda
they're
left it
big,
almost
they got,
dangerous, but Callies couldn't
you
get
know,
there before Evans.
they all got beards, they all got a
That's
tooth
a
knocked
slash
out.
call on
These
Hazen. That's
guys
why
are
it's off to
tough,
Tony.
and you
So
know
it was
they've
on the
always seemed to
turnover
be.
after he
I
had
don't
the
know.
ball,
Maybe our
and he did
lifestyle
take a
here is
couple of
too
pretty big
cozy
whacks
because
at the Langley defender.
you know
He
these
was really
guys
fighting for the ball.
they'll do what it takes to win.
Langley's
Evans, go ahead.
got Robinson stuck out there on defense.
Me and Sean Evans
Evans tries
don't
to
get along very well.
spin
Now he's
underneath.
playing for
Slade kinda
Vancouver.
buries him into
So
the crease.
I've
Shot was stopped by
had a chance
Chiliano,
to wave at
and
him a little
Langley,
bit,
with
but
1:10 left
he's
on
had
the
a great
power
career.
play, will go back to offense. Church coming all the way back to get it from Chiliano.
Yeah,
He-
my
he-
friend played with
No
him in
first.
Peterborough for juniors.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
Strong right, yeah.
he plays for me.
Dixon over to
Nice.
Church.
I must say,
He's gonna go back up.
yeah, my 4th Man Cup.
No, they're
This
going
was the
backcourt.
best
Robinson back to
refereed
Church.
Man Cup I've ever been.
Dixon,
Um,
Church, he'll
you
rip
know,
it. Shoulder save.
The
Vince. Gilray trying to get
the
through it.
East
Dixon
always
gets there
complains about
first.
the
Go
West,
over
West,
and
and the
back.
East, but I thought these
There's a
refs
reset.
totally
Even
let
though
the
Dixon
players
touched it,
decide
he didn't
the
possess
outcome
it.
of
It
the
was a
series.
front court, so heads up play by him not to grab it.
And what do they
Would have been
do for
open back,
that? Those
grab
3
it.
guys, they just take one from
That shot
each,
didn't
or
get through. It hit the defender.
The
Gilray
referees,
and Ogilvy up top,
yeah,
Hope and Lord down
you're
low.
allowed to bring 2 refs back
Backdoor
east,
attempt
and
picked
they
off by
have
Hope,
3,
and
I
aim
think
it
it
to
is,
Robinson.
if it's
Lofts
back
loose.
east, and
Robinson
they just
on
pick
top
the
of him.
rotations,
Hope gets
and
it, rips it.
everybody
All on
gets
the
a
boards
shot,
to
and then
Matisse.
you go
Gets
from
across
there.
center just in
There's
time.
a whole
Robinson
manual
just
for
in
Man
time,
Cup
that's
rules. It's
exactly
quite
right.
complicated. But anyways, yeah, you know,
Eight
they
count, you get
sold
across
out here.
center.
The fans get there
Heads up
early.
play by Hope, knowing
They make a
the
lot of
time
noise.
ball
They
roll
yell
in the
and
corner.
scream,
Didn't
and
leave
they're
him much.
passionate.
That was
But
as
I must
target
say, you'll
outlet
be
passes
out
we've
in the
seen.
community, and they'll
And that's
come
the
up and say,
lacrosse
"Hi,
athlete
your
you're going to
team's
see
really
at this
nice."
level. You know,
That's
the guy coming off the
you know,
bench knows
I
he
obviously
can be a
Peterborough
support
hockey and lacrosse.
Hazen's released, but
What a
the 30
sports
expires.
community.
Tony rolls it into the corner. We're 1-1 through the first power play of the game, going to Langley. And Dobie will take it up top at the restraining line.
One of the
Really
problems
nice
I
chat
have
with
with
Dane's
coaching
dad
these guys is
before the game.
they're
Been
naturally
enjoying
gifted,
watching some of
but
our broadcasts and then
I
getting
think
here in
that
person for
defenders
games.
pick them up and they know what they're doing. So
Dixon,
I
shot
tried to
blocked by
get them to
Dawson.
be a
So
little
Lakers
more
not letting a lot
creative
of
and try a few
shots
different
get
things,
through.
but that's a tough thing to do. And I
That
think
one's
if they
wide off
did,
the stick.
we would have probably had
Bryson.
more
Again, Bryson wearing
opportunities
number
because they
9
simply
is
knew
in
what we
for
were
his
doing
first
a
game of the
lot.
series.
And my
Sweeting
players
was a
would say, "Well,
3-on-3
coach,
wait for the third
I'm really
year.
good. I can do it. Don't worry about it, right?
Lakers
It's,
defense really packing
but
it in, making
didn't
sure
quite
that,
pan out.
their
But
shooters are gonna have to really make
there's
the
Mark
shots.
Matthews. I coached him in the 2010 Minto Cup, won a
Matthews into some
championship.
space, shoots. Stop
One
and
of the
think. It
giftiest
did hit
players
Langley,
around. He's
stretch
got
30.
great hands.
Aaron
He's
Sky battling
plays for
for
Saskatchewan,
Vitarelli
the
going after
captain.
the ball.
he's
Matthews tried to
actually
grab it,
during
he
this
kind of
series
flung
we
it
said
out.
let's let him shoot. What a
then that
silly
pass
thing
from
to
Evans
say
picked
because
off.
he goofed around for a
Here
couple
comes
games and then just lit us
Isaac
up like a
Enju.
candle. So
Hands it off to Dixon.
it's
Enju's
pretty
been a revelation
shocking that I would
for those of
actually
us who haven't had a chance to watch him
say
before in
that,
person.
but he just kind of
They
seemed
have
like
to
he
be
was going
so
through the
leery
motions.
when
But
Dixon comes off the bench
all
like
those
that.
good players know when to wake up.
Moss, number 22, is there for Dixon. He's back in.
Yeah, that's the one thing I was curious about.
To the
When,
top,
when
shovel
you're
to
coaching
Church.
this level
Pulls
of
it down. That one's
players,
blocked by
how do
Ogilvy.
you handle coach?
Another
You know,
blocked shot.
they
That
know
one
what
gets
they're
through, but
doing,
Vince
but
had
you
no trouble.
gotta
Foot
help
save
them
on
develop
Robinson.
somehow. You know.
Yeah, you know what? You try to we set our egos aside, and we try to get that out. We all want to be accountable. We all want the same thing, and I've had pretty good respect for my players. So, and I haven't always been right, and I like to listen to players' input. But if you're not on the same page, it becomes a difficult task. And you know what? It happens sometimes, and hopefully everyone gets back on page because winning and momentum and that is pretty contagious. And hopefully they'll set aside their individual differences. Anyways, yeah. So this was a really good game, and you know what? Even Game 7, we got down and then tied it. So we fought pretty hard here to battle these guys.
Yeah, I watched the series. It was pretty fun to watch, I tell you.
Yeah, I mean that was a game 1 or game 2. Like I don't think it was a goal, but that play that Connor Robinson did by picking it up and throwing it down the floor and we scored to tie was one of the most amazing plays I've ever seen in lacrosse. It was crazy. The building was screaming and you could hear a pin drop. So yeah, our big four were obviously Dobie, Connor Robinson, Robert Church, and Curtis Dixon. I mean, like I've coached some really good players, Gary Gate and all these guys, but I haven't had these like a group like that for crazy. That's a really good group to coach, like in terms of skill.
There's some good physical play right there.
Yeah, I had some. I mean, I got Reese Callies. He's about 6'5" and 230, and he's athletic and that. So we got some pretty good athletic defenders, and that's what it is now. That's the difference now. In the old days, again, with a lot of sports, you could have a big, slower guy. Just you needed him to be able to fight and think. But now you got to be quick and big and athletic. So that's probably the difference.
Yeah, that's one model I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to get guys that kind of understand how to play offense and where to be as far as movement and placement. And then I'm trying to get, these athletic field guys that have never played box, teach them how to play concepts, and the ones with good stick skills, give them a shot to learn offense. But really, they're all D-transition guys. And that's probably the best way to develop them. And the better players will have a chance moving later. But if you have an offense that knows what they're doing and you get athletic defensive guys that can carry the ball and move it, I feel like that's a pretty good recipe.
Yeah, totally. You know what? There's a lot of complicated things to do, but there's some patterns that are efficient, and it kind of gets players to learn sort of the system of running in a box league, and things are tight. And I think Tony brought it up to me. One of the things I think maybe the American players do is we swing the ball really well. So if you're able to get the ball to both sides, you can expose defenses. If you can't, then the defenses can really tone in on one side, and it makes it a real trouble. But so that swinging is something that I'll actually practice. I won't even run offense. I'll do some patterns and I say, let's swing the ball and just see how good we're swinging the ball.
Yeah, that's one thing. When I did play for Neil Powless, Tony, is we did that a lot, just skeleton, moving the ball back and forth across the top. The two men would work, and then really swinging it back and forth because that's what makes the difference.
Yeah, and it definitely also gets that goalie moving, right? Tires that goalie out. Opens up those angles.
And if I'll say one thing about shooting, I got a kind of different philosophy. Obviously these guys can load up and shoot, but probably the best guy I've ever seen is this Robert Church that we have. I'm trying to teach athletes, young and old, that just get your stick on your shoulder and shoot on the run. Don't try to blast it. You don't have to, just shoot on the run. The secret, and if David Mathers was on right now, is the goalies know when to set because we wind up and they get themselves in good position. If you just shoot on the run, the goalies have difficulty when you're going to shoot, where you're going to shoot, and it doesn't have to be hard. And you'll be surprised how much success you'll have.
All right, I think we'll stop at this last possession right here. Let's see if this is a.
So we come on the floor too slow, but which gives the defense a chance to relax. But like this is Curtis Dixon, so he's pretty good at getting around people. But and that's it.
There's stop right
there. All right, that's good.
Well, we really appreciate you coming on, Rod. This was very informative.
Awesome, buddy. Thank you, guys. It was a pleasure.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Great. All right, Tony. We'll talk to you soon, right?
Yes. Thanks, Rod. I'll follow up with you tomorrow.
Okay. See you guys. Take care.
All right. Take care.
Yeah, bye.
So here's just a reminder of kind of the league calendar. I just kind of threw this on there. You know, yesterday was a deadline for teams. I think we have 39 teams that are going to participate as of yesterday, which is
nice.
Yeah, we had 31 last year. So
yeah,
eight new teams.
40 was the number we were thinking. So
yeah, so there's still a couple teams out there that are kind of a long shot, but you never know, right? I think, everybody's still in like field mode. So it we're not a priority right now. So to try to April 15th seems so far away, even though we kick off the season in June 1st, it's a month and a half. So, so here's a timeline for that. This was in our GM meeting, I think in March. I just pulled the slides. They're just some of the slides. This is just a little bit more breakdown of what it was. You need to have your games scheduled, right? So right now, your regions should be talking with each other. If they're not, let us know. And
our whole season scheduled.
Yeah, I figured you guys are good. How about you, Tony?
They're napping.
Yeah. Some dates, keep in mind. National Champions 25th to 27th. We do not have a facility locked in right now.
That's what I was going to ask, if we've gotten anywhere on that.
We've gotten a couple bids and stuff. We're just trying to nail down things. Every different one has. What's that?
When are they going to give in to do it on the East this year?
We're gonna eventually get there. So we'll get there. You just win one and put some more pressure on us, right?
That's the plan.
Yeah, there you go.
We're gonna do
that. We've already done the deposits. Player registration closes on July 7th, so that's probably like a big one. Last year, that was kind of an issue. So
yeah,
it's one thing we got to make sure once
I paid attention.
So,
because I noticed a lot of guys on one particular team in my league didn't register until the day after.
Yeah, and that was, that's one of those things that we kind of learned as we were going here. So
yeah,
we're ahead of the curve on that. Hopefully.
I had a kid register today as a coach. How the heck?
Really?
Yeah. Could someone fix that for me?
Yeah, we can get that done for you. So let me write that down. Do you know who it is?
Connor Vecchio.
Okay.
He registered today as a staff member, and he said he tried logging in and can't fix it, and it won't let me do anything with it. On my roster management, it won't let me change anything.
Oh, really? All right.
Yeah.
I'll have Rachel kind of take a look at that and figure it out for you. This is pretty much regional playoffs. This was all kind of done in March. I think you were on in March, right, Nate? So this is all just refresher stuff.
Oh yeah. I just need to find some shot clocks.
Yeah, that's been a tough issue trying to find
Where
those.
do we find those?
And nets.
I'm all good with that. I got a good guy in New York.
You're gonna have
He makes it all, paints it, and strings it.
You're gonna have to kind of share that with me. We can put that as
Hotbed Lacrosse.
What is it?
Hotbed.
Hotbed lacrosse? Okay.
Yeah, he's out of Penn Yan.
Okay.
It's Steve.
All right. I'll look him up.
Steve Trombley.
Steve Trombley.
I think I have your cell, right, Tony?
I think you do.
I think I do. Hold on.
Yeah. If not, you have my Instagram, email.
That's true. Here we go.
And I think that's all we got for tonight. So appreciate you guys coming on. Hopefully you enjoyed Rod's. Yeah, I got it. There it is. Thanks.
Yeah, it was nice talking to him. And I'm always curious how guys that coach guys like Curtis Dixon and Dane Dovey know what to say or what to do, you know.
I like some of the drills that he was
Yeah,
presenting.
he has some
I
cool ones.
never would have thought to do.
The 3-on-2 continuous is a big basketball one. I have a strong basketball background too, so box lacrosse is very similar offensively.
But that 5-on-4 one he did where he kept people on your side and you had that little area and you had to get it over 8 seconds. And I thought that one was an interesting one.
That's cool, Joe.